Come on. Get up. Alright, what's going on, you guys? Quick video here, just talking about speed training. So, one major thing I think a lot of people kind of get mixed up in speed training is rest time and how long it takes to do all the working sets. And what I mean by that is, say your goal is to do 5 100-meter sprints. Doing all 5, one after the next, you would get all 5 done in less time. But what would happen is your performance per 100 meter would deteriorate. So you say you run, let's say you run, for numbers sake, let's say you run the 10-second 100 meter on the first one. And then on the second one, because you're only taking, we'll say, a minute of rest, you run a 10.5, and then an 11, and 11.5, so on, and your time slows down as you do more 100-meter sprints. So if the goal is speed, top-end speed, explosiveness, performance, then taking anywhere from 3 minutes is really even kind of pushing it. Some people can get away with it depending on the distance, depending on the genetics of the individual, depending on their training history, other factors, so on and so forth. 3 minutes would kind of be like a minimum. 3 minutes to, let's say, really you could do like 6 to 7 minutes of rest. And that is going to allow for your nervous system to be able to fire off more quickly, more efficiently, and to be able to push faster, push beyond whatever time or whatever speed that you did X amount of reps on squat for. And so taking enough rest is essential. That aside, actually, no. Jump back real quick. So to recap, I would say that on average, it's probably good to take about 4 to 5 minutes of rest in between sets if your goal is truly to train for speed. So that's gonna, again, allow for your central nervous system to be able to fire off efficiently and to be able to continue pushing past the barriers that you have. And again, using that example, or refer back to that example I had said at the beginning of the video, because if you're taking enough rest, you're gonna be able to either hit the same time or potentially go faster rather than it getting slower without enough rest time. So that's rest time for speed training. As far as the mindset goes, that's another big thing that I think would be good to talk about. The mindset of speed training is as explosive as possible. And that's like, duh, well, you tell someone, okay, do this as fast as you can, they might still be holding back. So, or you might still be holding back. So, really what you need to think of is controlling the weight down, we'll say for a squat, controlling the weight down, going into the loading phase, and then everything you have, like 100% effort out of the hole, out of the bottom of the squat. And that should be every single rep. So, and that goes for any exercise. And if it's something that isn't a weight training exercise where you don't have, and eccentric and a concentric phase, a working and a loading phase, than something like sprint or jump, or more so sprint than jump. But sprinting, it's still like as fast as you can, and not only as fast as you can, but maintaining all of the proper positions and going through them as fast as possible. So for something like squat, you wouldn't want to compromise, let's say, your knee position or be hinging too far forward just to move the bar faster. You would want to make sure that your back's tight, straight line in your spine, knees are driving out, feet are screwing into the floor. As you're coming up out of the hole, you're going through the proper positions and doing the movement still 100% technically efficient, but pushing the speed as much as possible. And I've seen a lot of people compromise proper positions in order to progress their speed, but really that ends up harming them in the long run, because then they have to fix their positions, fix their motor patterns, and then because they basically have to relearn how to do something, then they have to dial back the speed, and then they're not moving as fast, and then they have to retrain the nervous system to move fast and move more efficiently, and basically have to start from ground zero just because they didn't start right in the first place. So make sure you're going through every movement properly, and then if you're not confident in how you're performing the movement, build your confidence in how you move. So build up your technical efficiency, build up your technique so that you can move faster with proper technique. If your technique isn't set and you again try and build on that, your foundation is going to crumble and you're going to have to start from ground zero again. So if your technique is good in running, squatting, jumping, deadlifting, power clean, snatch, any of that kind of stuff, any movement that can build explosive capacity for athletic performance, then as you increase the speed, you increase the weight, you increase your neurological efficiency in these movements. This will all transfer over into being more athletic, more quick, more powerful, more explosive in your sport. And if I had to pick which lifts would be the best or have the most carryover, I would probably say, as far as I guess like a basic strength one, would just be back squat. That's something that you can build up a lot of strength, a lot of explosiveness in, and if your technique is sound, you don't have to worry about a whole lot of complications. Whereas something like the snatch, if you're not 100% confident in your technique, which takes a lot of time, then it's not really a good idea to be throwing on more weight, trying to move faster, because that's a movement that's very complex. The squat is still kind of complex, but much more basic than, again, something like the snatch. So I would say squat, power clean is a pretty good one. Again, a little less complicated than the snatch, still a very explosive movement, and you're not having to worry about doing the front squat out of the clean. So you're taking the ground or the weight from the ground to that front rack position, catching it with your hips parallel to the ground or higher. So squat, power clean, and then I would say weighted explosive lunges or step-ups. And the reason I say this one is because it's a unilateral movement. So you're doing one side at a time. You're able to train your hamstrings, your glutes, your quads, your balance a little bit more than the squat and the power clean. And you're able to, you can jump in the weighted step up or weighted lunge more so than you can in the squat. Squat, you wouldn't really want to come off of the ground. You're just trying to be as explosive as possible through the entire range of motion. Whereas with the explosive weighted step up or lunge, you can, as you come out of that lunge, be jumping, and then if you're on the box, say you jump up, land with still that same foot on the box, controlling your weight back down, switch sides, or if it's the lunge, you can jump up, switch sides, jump up, switch sides. And again, those movements you want to be moving as quickly as possible through the range of motion while maintaining proper form. Another thing that I would say is that, again, for every movement, it's every single rep. Each individual rep is as fast as possible. So if in between your squat, you have to take a couple breaths and then go down into the squat and then perform that next concentric motion as fast as possible, versus just going down, coming back up, moving fast, and then immediately going down, coming back up, and then your speed starts to deteriorate in that set. So even in each set, make sure that you're still not taking enough rest so much as just resetting your mind, getting a good breath, especially for the squat, keeping your core tight, making sure all the positions that you're gonna go through are proper, engaging the muscles properly, and then again, going down back into the loading phase of the movement, and then being as explosive as possible on the way up. So yeah, each individual rep as fast as possible, 4 to 5 minutes of rest in between sets if you're truly training for speed, not explosive, we'll say explosive strength or lactic power endurance or lactic power or lactic threshold or any of the other stuff that it could be. If it's truly speed, really anywhere from 3 to 7 minutes each individual rep as fast as possible, and make sure you're doing everything technically efficient so your technique is sound. So that's just a little bit on speed. I know that probably sounds really complicated, but if you guys have any other questions, let me know and I'll answer them as best as possible. Awesome. Try it out. Let me know how it goes. Thanks, you guys.